10:40 at night. The house is quiet, and you hear it from the hallway. A soft, dragging scrape. Not a click, not the normal tap of nails on hardwood. A scrape. The top of your dog's back paw brushing the floor because he didn't lift it all the way. You look up. He's walking toward you, and one of those back legs is a half-second behind the other. You tell yourself he's just tired. He slept funny. He's getting older. And you go to bed. That scrape is the single most important sound in your house right now, and most owners ignore it for 6 to 9 months. By the time they bring the dog into my clinic, the window where this is easy to slow down has closed. The scrape you heard tonight has a name. It's called knuckling, and it is not clumsiness. It is not old age. It is your dog's spinal cord losing the wire that tells his brain where his back feet are in space. And once that wire frays past a certain point, no supplement, no bowl trick, no vet on earth pulls it fully back. Here's the part that keeps me up at night as a veterinarian. The early stage, the exact stage you may be watching right now, is the stage where the right home protocol slows this thing down the most. But it's also the stage that looks like nothing. It looks like a lazy old dog. So the dog that could have kept walking for 2 more good years gets treated like he's fine, and the clock runs. Grab a notebook. I mean that, because in the next 20-something minutes, I'm going to give you a specific test you can do on your own kitchen floor tonight, and I'm going to walk you through what's actually happening inside your dog's spine, and I'm going to give you the exact things to start doing this week. This is not a video you half listen to while you scroll. If your dog is scraping a back paw, this one matters. Let me tell you exactly what you're getting so you stay with me all the way through, because the most important part is not at the beginning. The first thing I'm going to give you is the 60-second knuckle test. You flip your dog's back paw over so the top of it rests on the floor, and how fast he flips it back tells you whether the nerve signal is still traveling. I'll show you exactly how to read it and exactly what a slow flip versus a no flip means. That test costs nothing and tells you more than most owners learn in a $200 visit. The second thing is what knuckling actually is on the inside. Why a dog can feel a treat drop, hear you open the fridge, and still not know his own back foot is folded under him. When you understand the mechanism, the whole thing stops being scary and mysterious and starts being something you can act on. The third thing is the 4 questions I ask in the clinic to sort a spinal problem you can slow at home from an emergency that needs a vet in the next 48 hours. Because some of what looks like knuckling is not the slow disease. Some of it is a disc pressing on the cord right now, and knowing the difference protects your dog's ability to walk. The fourth thing is the actual at-home protocol: movement, footing, weight, and the daily habits that give the muscle the best chance to hold on. This is the part the pet industry has no interest in selling you because there's nothing to sell. It's free, and it works better than most of what isn't. And the fifth thing, the one I most want you to hear, is the single most common mistake owners make in the first month after they notice the scrape. The mistake that takes a dog who had 18 good months left and cuts it to 6. I see it constantly. I'll tell you exactly what it is and how to not do it. Somewhere in here, I'm also going to tell you which breed sitting on my exam table makes my stomach drop the second I see that back paw drag, and why. Stay for that, because if you own that breed, everything in this video is twice as urgent. Let me tell you who I am, quickly, because you should know why you're listening to me. I'm a practicing veterinarian. Neurologic cases, the wobbly back end, the dragging paw, The older dog whose hips aren't what they were are one of the most common things that walk through my door and one of the most misread. Owners come in certain it's arthritis. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's the spinal cord, and the two get treated completely differently. I've spent years learning to tell them apart in the first 90 seconds, and tonight I'm handing you the front edge of that skill. Not so you skip the vet, so you walk in already knowing what you're looking at. Let me tell you about a dog named Bear. Bear is a 9-year-old German Shepherd. Big, calm, gorgeous animal, the kind that leans his whole weight against your leg to say hello. His owner is a retired school teacher named Frank, and Frank loves this dog the way people love a dog after the kids have moved out. For 9 years, Bear was flawless. Hiked, swam, jumped into the truck bed on his own. Then one afternoon, on a walk they'd done 1,000 times, Frank noticed Bear's back left paw catch on a curb. Just once. Bear stumbled, caught himself, kept going. Frank filed it under old dog. 2 weeks later, Frank started hearing the scrape on the kitchen tile. He looked, and the top of that back left paw had a raw spot rubbed into the fur because Bear had been dragging the top of it over and over without seeming to notice. That's the tell. A dog with a hurt paw favors it, licks it, limps to protect it. A dog whose spinal cord has lost the paw doesn't protect it because his brain doesn't know it's being scraped. Frank still waited. He figured he'd mention it at Bear's next checkup, which was 2 months out. By the time I met Bear, 4 months had passed since that curb, and the change in 4 months was the thing that made Frank's face fall in my exam room. Bear's back left leg now crossed slightly under him when he turned. The thigh muscle on that side had visibly shrunk. You could see the difference between the 2 back legs from across the room. He could still walk, he could still get up, but when I flipped that back paw over, knuckle side down, Bear left it there. He stood on the top of his own foot and didn't correct it. On the right side, he flipped it back slow, but he flipped it. Left side? Nothing. I ran the reflexes. Bear felt deep pain. He knew when I pinched the toe, which matters enormously because it meant the cord wasn't fully gone. But the proprioception, the sense of where the foot is in space, was disappearing on the left and starting to fade on the right. This was not arthritis. This was not a pulled muscle. This was the spinal cord itself degenerating, slowly, from the middle of his back outward. Frank asked me the question every owner asks. If I'd brought him in after the curb, 4 months ago, would it be different? And here's the honest answer, the one I gave Frank. We can't stop this kind of thing on command, but the dogs who move the most, stay the leanest, and keep the muscle worked hold their walking the longest. And 4 months of a raw paw, 4 months of that leg wasting untouched, is 4 months you don't get back. The reason I'm telling you about Bear is not because Bear is rare. Bear is the most ordinary case I see. Bear is what, I thought he was just getting old, looks like 4 months later. And the paw your dog scraped in the hallway tonight is Frank's curb. So let me tell you what's actually happening inside a dog like Bear, because once you see it, you'll understand why the paw goes before the pain does, and why speed matters. Picture your dog's spinal cord as a thick bundle of insulated wires running down the inside of his backbone. Every wire carries a signal. Some carry the command to move a muscle, some carry information back up. Pressure, position, my foot is folded under me, fix it. Each wire is wrapped in a fatty insulation. In the nervous system, that insulation is called myelin, and it does exactly what the rubber coating on an electrical cord does. It keeps the signal fast, clean, and traveling in the right direction. In the slow spinal disease I'm describing, the one that hits older large breed dogs, German Shepherds most infamously, that insulation starts breaking down. The wire is still there. The muscle is still there, but the coating frays, and the signal that used to race down the wire now leaks, scatters, arrives late, or doesn't arrive at all. This breakdown of the insulation is called demyelination, and researchers have looked closely at how inflammation and demyelination damage the central nervous system. There's work on that in the pathology literature going back decades, describing exactly how the loss of that coating disrupts the signal. When you strip the insulation off a wire, the wire doesn't carry current the way it should. That's your dog's back leg. Now here's why the paw goes first, and why it goes before the pain. The wires carrying position sense, the "where is my foot" information, are among the most vulnerable. So the very first thing to fail is your dog's awareness of where his back feet are. He can still feel a pinch, he can still move the leg, but the constant background signal telling his brain, "the foot is flat, the foot is under me, the foot just dragged," that signal fades. So the foot folds over, knuckles under, scrapes the ground, and the dog genuinely does not know. That's knuckling. It's not weakness first, it's blindness in the foot first. And this is the exact thing that fools owners into waiting. If your dog were in pain, you'd act. Pain screams. But this condition is quiet. It doesn't hurt. The dog isn't crying, he's just catching a paw now and then. So the owner waits, and while they wait, the insulation keeps breaking down, and the signal keeps getting worse, and the muscle that isn't getting used starts to shrink. That shrinking has a name too. It's called muscle atrophy, and it's why Bear's left thigh looked hollow next to his right. The muscle wasn't diseased, it was just going silent, because the nerve stopped calling it to work. This specific disease in dogs has a haunting cousin in humans. Veterinary researchers have studied canine degenerative myelopathy directly as a model for ALS, the human motor neuron disease, because the pattern of the nerves failing looks so similar. And in German Shepherds in particular, a specific gene, the SOD1 gene, carries a mutation strongly associated with the disease. There's published work comparing the molecular tests used to identify that exact mutation in affected shepherds. That's why, when a 9-year-old shepherd walks in with a dragging back paw and no pain, my stomach drops. That's the breed I promised I'd name, German Shepherds. Corgis, Boxers, Ridgebacks, and a handful of others carry the risk too, but the Shepherd is the classic. If that's your dog, everything I'm about to tell you is not optional. So the mechanism. In one breath, the insulation on the position sense wires breaks down, the foot loses its awareness before it loses its strength, the dog drags a paw he can't feel, the unused muscle shrinks, and because none of it hurts, the owner waits. That waiting is the enemy. Now let me show you 3 more dogs because your dog is probably one of them. The first is a dog like Bear, and I'll keep him brief because you've met him. Older, large breed, most often a shepherd, slow onset, no pain, back paw scraping, one thigh going hollow. This dog has weeks to months of gradual change, deep pain sensation intact, and a knuckle test that's slow on one side and starting to slow on the other. This is the classic slow degenerative pattern. The home protocol I'm about to give you helps this dog the most, because time is the one thing this disease gives you, if you use it. The second dog is completely different, and telling them apart can save a dog's ability to walk. Picture a dachshund named Pearl. 6 years old, long-backed, was fine this morning. This afternoon she yelped jumping off the couch, and now her back end is weak, she's hunched, she cries when you touch her lower spine, and she's suddenly knuckling on both back feet. That is not the slow disease. That is a disc. In a long-backed dog, a cushioning disc between the vertebrae can rupture and press hard on the spinal cord in a matter of hours. Pearl is in pain, sharp, sudden, localized pain, and that pain, plus the fast onset, plus the long back, is a red flag. Pearl does not need a kitchen protocol tonight. Pearl needs an emergency vet in the next several hours, because with disc compression, the window to protect her walking is measured in a day or two, not months. If your dog's knuckling came on fast, with pain, especially in a long-bodied breed, close this video and call an emergency clinic. I mean that. The third dog is the one that surprises people. A Labrador named Duke, 10 years old, overweight, and his owner is certain it's his hips. He's slow getting up, he's stiff, he drags a back toe sometimes. Hips, right? Arthritis. Here's the trap. An arthritic dog and a spinal dog can look identical from across the room, and the treatments pull in opposite directions. So we test. An arthritic dog that catches his toe will flip the paw right back the second he notices. His position sense is intact, he just didn't lift high enough because the joint hurts. A spinal dog leaves the paw knuckled because he doesn't know it's there. Same drag, completely different reason. Duke turned out to have both, real arthritis and early spinal changes, which is common in a heavy older dog. And it's exactly why weight, which I'll come to, matters twice as much for him. 3 dogs, 3 different back ends, and the 60-second test on your own floor sorts them faster than a guess ever will. So here's exactly what to do, in order, starting tonight. Get your notebook. Number 1, and do this first. Run the knuckle test and run it right. Get your dog standing calmly on a floor with some grip, not slick tile. Put down a towel or a bath mat. Gently pick up one back paw and set it back down flipped over, so the top of the paw, the knuckle side, is resting on the ground. Then let go and watch. A healthy dog flips that paw back to normal instantly, almost before you've let go. That's the position sense wire firing the way it should. A dog in the early spinal stage flips it back slowly, with a delay, like the message took the long way around. A dog further along leaves it there, standing on the top of his own foot, and does not correct it. Do it on both back legs. Do it 3 times each. Write down what you see: instant, slow, or no flip, left and right. If one side is slow or absent, you now have real information, not a worry. This is the test I promised, and it's the same one I do in the clinic. It costs you a towel and 60 seconds. Number 2. Check the top of every back paw and the nails for evidence he's been dragging without you seeing it. Look for fur worn thin on the top of the paw, a raw or reddened patch, or back toenails that are filed down flat and short on one side compared to the other. Nails tell the truth. A dog who lifts his feet wears his nails evenly. A dog dragging a paw grinds the front of those nails down at an angle. If you find a worn spot or ground down nails, the dragging has been happening longer than you realized, and that moves your urgency up. Take a photo tonight and another in 2 weeks. That comparison is worth more than any single visit, because this disease is about the rate of change. Number 3. Fix your footing everywhere this week. This is the cheapest, highest impact thing you will do, and almost no one does it early enough. A dog losing position sense in his back feet is fighting for every scrap of traction, and a slick floor takes his legs out from under him and terrifies him into moving less. And moving less is exactly what shrinks the muscle. Put down runners, yoga mats, cheap rubber-backed rugs, bath mats, a path of grip from his bed to his water to the door. Trim the fur between his paw pads so the pad itself contacts the floor. If he struggles on stairs, block them and carry him or use a ramp. Every step he takes with confidence is a step that keeps that leg working. Traction is free physical therapy. Number 4, keep him moving daily and keep it gentle and frequent. The instinct when a dog gets wobbly is to rest him. For this condition, that instinct is wrong. And here's the logic. The muscle shrinks because the nerve stops calling it, and every controlled step reminds the muscle to stay awake. So we want frequent short walks, not one long exhausting one. 2 or 3 10 to 15-minute walks on grass or a gripped surface beat a single mile that leaves him dragging by the end. Grass and gentle, uneven ground are ideal. They force him to place each foot deliberately, which is proprioceptive exercise, which is the exact skill he's losing. Slow, deliberate walking on varied ground is worth more than a fast walk on flat pavement. And if he tolerates it, gentle swimming or wading is superb because the water holds him up while his legs still do the work. Talk to your vet about the right level for your specific dog, but the principle holds. Motion, in small, frequent doses, is medicine here. Number 5. Get the weight off him and support the joints honestly. Every extra pound is a pound a fraying nervous system has to haul around, and a heavy dog like Duke loses his footing sooner and tires faster. If your dog is carrying extra weight, a lean body is one of the most protective things you control. Talk to your vet about a target and a plan to get there, gradually. Keep the muscle he has by feeding enough good protein, again with your vet's guidance for his age and kidneys. And for the arthritis that so often rides alongside this in older dogs, ask your vet about joint support and pain control, because a dog who hurts moves less, and moving less is the thing we're fighting. Don't start supplements blind, get them cleared for your dog. Now, the advanced piece, the thing that goes beyond footing and walking, the thing worth asking your vet about specifically. There's a category of treatment built around directed physical rehabilitation and targeted energy therapies that most owners have never heard offered for this. On the rehab side, structured physiotherapy, underwater treadmill work, and deliberate proprioceptive exercises, having the dog step over low poles, stand on a wobble cushion, weight shift on purpose, all of which drill the exact position sense skill that's fading. On the energy side, there's genuine research literature behind 2 tools a rehab-oriented vet may use. One is low-level laser therapy, also called photobiomodulation. There's a body of published work on low-level laser and light energy in tissue, and rehab practitioners use it to support recovery in nerve and muscle. The other is pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. There are experimental studies from the surgical literature examining pulsed electromagnetic field effects on nerve repair specifically. I want to be careful and honest here. None of these is a cure, and I'm not promising you they reverse this disease. They don't. But a certified veterinary rehabilitation practitioner is the single best professional to add to your dog's corner, and these are tools in that toolbox. If you do one thing beyond the kitchen floor basics, ask your vet for a referral to a canine rehab specialist. That's the move most owners never make, and it's the one that most often surprises them. Before I close, the mistake. I promised you the single most common mistake owners make in the first month, the one that takes a dog with 18 good months and cuts it to 6, and here it is. The mistake is rest. Owners see the wobble, they get scared, and they do the loving, logical, completely wrong thing. They baby the dog. They stop the walks. They carry him everywhere. They let him lie on his bed all day so he doesn't hurt himself. and the leg that was fading slowly now fades fast, because the muscle that only survives on use stops being used. Within a month, the thigh is hollow, the dog can barely rise, and the owner concludes the disease moved fast, when what actually moved fast was the atrophy they caused by resting him. Do not baby a knuckling dog. Support him, grip his floors, protect him from falls, and then keep him gently, deliberately moving every single day. Rest is the enemy. Motion is the medicine. So let's bring it home. That scrape you heard in the hallway tonight, the top of the back paw brushing the floor, is not a lazy old dog, and it is not nothing. It's your dog's spinal cord losing the wire to his back feet, and it goes quiet before it goes anywhere else, which is exactly why it fools people into waiting. But you're not going to wait. Tonight, you're going to run the 60-second knuckle test on a gripped floor, both back legs, 3 times each, and write down what you see. This week, you're going to lay down traction from his bed to his bowl to the door. You're going to trade the one long walk for 2 or 3 short, deliberate ones on grass. You're going to get the weight honest and the joints supported with your vet's help. And you're going to ask that vet for a referral to a canine rehab specialist. None of that costs much. All of it buys time. And time, in this disease, is the whole ball game, because the dogs who keep moving keep walking the longest. One last thing, and it's important. Everything I've told you tonight is education, not a diagnosis of your specific dog. A dragging paw can be the slow spinal disease. It can be a disc that needs an emergency vet tonight. It can be arthritis, or it can be more than one at once, and only an exam sorts that for certain. If your dog's knuckling came on suddenly, with pain, especially in a long-backed breed, don't wait on anything I said. Call an emergency clinic now. For everyone else, take your notes and your paw photos to your veterinarian and start the conversation with your eyes open. If this helped you understand that scrape, do me one favor, subscribe, and hit like so the next worried owner hearing that sound at 10 at night finds this too. I'll see you in the next one, and give that dog a gentle scratch from